It was all the Thunder. The Nuggets looked like going into the second half, they left everything in the locker room because they came out and they were absolutely flat in the second half. They didn't play defense, they couldn't score any points, and they looked like a shell of what they were throughout this series and throughout the playoffs. Now, Jokic sitting there right now, and I will say this about the Denver Nuggets. I really thought that the Denver Nuggets had an opportunity to go to the finals and maybe face off against the Knicks or face off against the Pacers or the Celtics, because I did think with Jokic having the experience that he had in some of these guys like Jamal Murray and then obviously Michael Porter, I really thought that this team had the experience to knock off the OKC Thunder, a team that's very, very young and is still a little wet behind the ears. But OKC Thunder and Shai Alexander showed up. Shai will be the MVP, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think you can argue that. He is going to be the MVP now. And it has nothing to do with the playoffs because the NBA already discusses and votes before the playoffs even start who's going to be the MVP of the league. But what I've seen in this series was the OKC Thunder show that they finally want to be in the Western Conference Finals, want to face off against the best in the West. And the Timberwolves are going to be a hard opponent. They're young. They're right now very hungry. And we all know Anthony Edwards has been here before, as he was last year, and got knocked out by the Mavericks. This is going to be a different OKC Thunder. The Mavericks were not as good as the OKC Thunder. They're much younger, much more faster, and they have one of the best offensive players in the NBA right now. And now I'm not saying Luka wasn't or Kyrie Irving wasn't either, but this guy, he's on a whole nother level this year. He's going to win his first MVP, and he stands for something. And that something is, it's just a superstar. And that's what we have seen for Shai Alexander in the last 3 seasons. He showed it for Team Canada in the Olympics, and now you're seeing how special and how talented he is playing for a team that really is starting to figure things out and could win multiple championships. But we've seen this before. This OKC Thunder team was really, really good with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, who was playing for the opposing team, the Nuggets, James Harden, Serge Ibaka. This team was stacked when they were as good as any team and any Western young conference team in the Western Conference we've seen over the years. I remember this because this is the team that got knocked out by the Miami Heat. This is the team that a lot of people thought was the future of the NBA. And now you see this team, totally different team. You don't have Russell Westbrook on this team anymore, James Harden, or any of those guys. Serge Ibaka is not even in the NBA anymore. So, and Kevin Durant's on his tail end of his career. So, you're watching this OKC Thunder show why they deserve every accolades that they had all season long. And they were the best, by far the best team in the Western Conference all season long. So, and I was so excited to see Shai Alexander after the game and go up there and speak to the press. And he really took all the cameras off himself and said, if it wasn't for my teammates, if we didn't sign Hartenstein in the offseason and we didn't give these guys an opportunity to step up and be the players that they have become over the last couple of years with the Thunder, we're not in the Western Conference Finals. It's not all me. We're a team. And that's what you want to hear from your superstar. So I love to hear that from every team superstar. You don't hear that from Anthony Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Edwards, when everything's flying high, he's doing great. He's the best. Da-da-da-da-da. And then when they're flying low, well, he wasn't playing well and he wasn't playing well. This is the problem. You want your superstar players to take responsibility when the team isn't playing well. So this is a battle of 2 different teams, 2 different superstars, and probably 2 of the best young players in the NBA. He was down offensively throughout the playoffs. He finally stepped up in an important Game 7. But if he plays like that against the Timberwolves, there's no way OKC is winning that series, especially the way other players have stepped up for those teams. One guy that we very much know for the New York Knicks, who played for the New York Knicks for a significant amount of time, the bricklayer himself. So we all know that he doesn't show up in important parts of certain games. Now, he's been different with the Timberwolves. He's played better with the Timberwolves. So I'm interested to see how he is going to turn. And Dante DiVincenzo, I call him the bricklayer. I don't even want to give him a name because everybody knows who I'm speaking about, okay? But Dante DiVincenzo has been a very important piece, a guy that comes off the bench. He adds not only that mediocre style of, play that we expect a bench player to bring out, but he gives you that 3-point and he gives you that meanness that you want off the bench. If you watch all season long, where a lot of these fights happen with the Timberwolves, who starts most of those fights? Dante DiVincenzo. Why? Because he's standing up for Anthony Edwards. He's the aggressor when it comes to, and you wouldn't think that with all these different players on this team. And Karl Anthony Towns obviously wasn't an aggressive player, and that's why a lot of people call him the flopping man, because you've seen him with the Knicks. There's no aggressiveness to him whatsoever. He's not the enforcer, and that's why they needed Robinson back. Now you're looking at, obviously, a Timberwolves team that has an enforcer. He might not be as big as, guys like Karl Anthony Towns, but he gives you that little meanness. He gives you that lion, and he brings you to his den. And once Dante DiVincenzo goes out there and he roars, he could be pretty scary. We saw it last year when Robinson was getting pushed around with the 76ers. And then who was sticking up for Robinson? It was Dante DiVincenzo. That's something that the Timberwolves needed, and that's what Anthony Edwards needs. And I think that's what I think the Timberwolves have that they didn't have last year. They have that personality in the locker room, and they have that angry person coming off the bench that you don't know what he's going to do in the middle of a basketball game.